Hello students. The last class we discussed about the nucleophilicity and the factors which influence the nucleophilicity. Today we discuss about the chemical properties or chemical reactions of halogen derivatives. Typical reactions of halogen derivatives. They are: one is nucleophilic substitution reactions. These are represented as SN. Second one, elimination reactions. These are represented with E. And third one, reactions with metals. These are some typical reactions of halogen derivatives. So look at the first one. Nucleophilic substitution reactions. So before going for the nucleophilic substitution reactions, what are substitution reactions? When we replace an atom or a group of atoms with other by breaking and reforming a new sigma bond are called substitution reactions. Substitution reactions are generally one type of displacement reactions. One atom is displaced by the another one. These are again three types: free radical substitution reactions, electrophilic substitution reactions, and nucleophilic substitution reactions. Nucleophilic substitution reactions are characteristic reactions of haloalkanes and alcohols mainly. For this nucleophilic substitution reaction, a substrate molecule with a leaving group required along with the nucleophiles. For this nucleophilic substitution reaction, a substrate with a leaving group required along with the nucleophile. For example, for this halogen derivatives Rx reacting with the nucleophile in presence of solvent. They convert into products by leaving the more electron density halide ion. It is the representation of nucleophilic substitution reactions. A substrate with a leaving group required with the along with the nucleophile in a particular solvent. Then they go for the forward direction to form the products. So these nucleophilic substitution reactions are characteristic reactions of haloalkanes and alcohols, and also ethers also. Rx plus nucleophile by using a solvent converted to product by leaving group. So where in this case R is substrate, X is leaving group. So what are the factors which may influence these nucleophilic substitution reactions? Among the first one, nothing but the substrate means an alkyl group. So alkyl group may be one carbon atom or more than one carbon. These are 1-degree alkyl halide or primary alkyl halides. Similarly, it may be a 2-degree alkyl halide, may be a 3-degree alkyl halide. Similarly, it may also contain a double bond, that is vinyl halide allyl halide or aryl halide, benzyl halide. So these are some substrates. Anything is a substrate. Means R may be of anything. That is, this R may be of 1-degree, 2-degree, 3-degree, phenyl, allyl, aryl, as well as benzyl. Maybe in some reactions it may be bridgehead carbon also. Now these two are bridgehead halides. Maybe spiral compounds. So substrate may be any one of these. Come to second one, LG, leaving group. So leaving group are weak bases or good leaving groups. Weaker bases or weak bases are good leaving groups. Stable anions are weaker bases. Weaker bases are good leaving group. That we already discussed in the factors influencing the nucleophilicity character. So come to these halogen derivatives. All halogens, all halogens except fluorine, they are good leaving groups. All halogen except fluorine, they all are good leaving group. If you see fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, these are the halogen. Br minus, Cl minus, F minus. Generally, to take in halogen acid HX, by loss of hydrogen atom, they may convert it into X minus. Hi is a strong acid. Strong acid conjugate base is weak in nature. Weak bases are good leaving group. So, the leaving group order is I minus ion is a better leaving group than Br minus. Br minus then Cl minus. Cl minus better than the fluorine. So fluorine is not a better leaving group. So it cannot show nucleophilic substitution reactions due to strong bond between the carbon and the fluorine atom. Fluorine is more electronegative and carbon is the less electronegative. So due to this strong bond, it cannot show, it never shows the nucleophilic substitution reactions. Reason, it is very poor leaving group due to strong bond between the carbon and the fluorine atom. That was the reason. The characteristic reactions of fluoroalkanes or even CV. Elimination reaction via conjugate base. So iodine, that means iodide compound. Iodoalkanes or iodide compounds are easily participating in the nucleophilic substitution reactions compared to the bromine, compared to the chlorine atoms. But fluorine never participate in the nucleophilic substitution reactions due to very poor leaving group because it's a weak acid of strong conjugate base. Conjugate bases are strong, then they are not acts as a leaving groups. Third one, come to the Solvent. Generally, for the nucleophilic substitution reactions, polar solvents are used. As we discussed in the earlier classes, polar solvents are two types: PPS, polar protic solvents, polar aprotic solvents. For these, a well-known example is nothing but the H2O alcohol. For this polar aprotic, acetone, dimethyl sulfoxide. We already discussed in your previous classes about the what is the role of solvent. So role of solvent is also make a better in the nucleophilic substitution reactions. Basically, polar solvents are useful because these substances are polar in nature due to electronegativity differences. Some nucleophilic substitution reactions can be initiated by the PPS solvents. Some of them are PAS. Come to the nucleophilic substitution reactions. In NSR, there are so many types of nucleophilic substitution reactions are there. One is SN1, SN2, SNI, SN, NGP. It is internal nucleophilic substitution reaction. NGP, neighboring group participation. SNAR, nucleophilic substitution reactions in the aromatic compounds. Generally, aromatic halides, that is aryl halides, are not participating in the nucleophilic substitution reactions, but there are some extreme conditions. They may also participate in the NSR reactions. SNAE, addition and elimination. These reactions can be take place in the carboxylic acid and their derivatives. One more, that is SNE, opposite to this reaction. It is now addition and elimination, but whereas this elimination and addition. It's a special type of nucleophilic substitution reaction. Individually, it was named as the Benzene mechanism. So these all are the nucleophilic substitution reactions. What we are going to discuss in these nucleophilic substitutions reactions. Whereas come to the, as per your IPE syllabus, we just discussing these two only, SN1 as well as the SN2. Some cases of SNI as well as the SNG. Particularly these reactions which are SNAR, SNAE and SNEA for the higher topics that we discussed for the advanced level of classes. So this is what about the nucleophilic substitution reactions. For this reaction, a substrate molecule along with the leaving group required with a nucleophile. Then these nucleophilic substitution reactions will be taking place. So these all are the mechanisms that we are going to discuss these mechanisms in this chapter. Let me tell one thing about you. Before going to entering this detailed study of the reaction mechanism, we have to know the one topic which you already know in your first year. That is what we can call as the MOT, molecular orbital theory, which was proposed by the Mulliken. Here we are not going to detailed study. I just give example brief or summarize some points which are required for the to understand better for this reaction mechanism. As per this atomic theory, we know that electrons are presiding in the orbitals, like of s orbital, p orbital, and d orbitals. Atomic orbitals combine together, convert into the molecular orbitals. I repeat again, atomic orbitals are combined together and forms molecular orbitals. When the two atomic orbitals are joined, we get two types of molecular orbitals. One is BMO, bonding molecular orbital. Second one is anti-bonding molecular orbital, ABMO. Comparing with these atomic orbitals which are less energetic are known as the BO, bonding molecular orbital, which are higher than the atomic orbitals are known as the ABMO, anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So, for every bonding molecular orbital, we have anti-bonding molecular orbital. That means for every bonding molecular orbital, corresponding anti-bonding molecular orbital is also present. For example, if it is an atomic orbital, if it is bonding molecular orbital, now it is what we can call as the anti-bonding molecular orbital. Number two, this anti-bonding molecular orbital opposite to bonding molecular orbitals. That is anti-bonding molecular orbital orientation in space opposite to the bonding molecular orbital. That is second point, ABMO, anti-bonding molecular orbital. Exactly opposite to bonding molecular orbital. It is lower energy, it is higher energy compared with the atomic orbitals. Come to third one. When any of the bonding molecular orbitals are involving in the bond formation. For example, better to understand of the CF bond. It is the bonding orbital of a carbon overlaps with the another bonding orbital of it is for carbon. Similarly, it may also have involved anti-orbital. It is BN. It is for the carbon, it is for the fluorine. So only bonding molecular orbitals are come to overlap each other to make a bond formation. When come to this anti-bonding molecular orbital, ABFO is an empty. These are not involving in the bond formation, whether for the carbon atom as well as the fluorine. Anti-bonding molecular orbital is not involving in the bond formation. That means there are no electron density at these two orbitals. So what is third one? Generally, ABMO, anti-bonding molecular orbital, is empty. You don't have any electron density. Unless there is a reaction is initiated. For some reasons, if at all any atom is going to participate in the bond formation by utilizing this anti-bonding molecular orbital. This anti-bonding molecular orbital is empty unless reaction is initiated. This anti-bonding molecular orbital is empty. Fourth one. In case, if you look at this carbon and chlorine bond, it is the carbon bonding orbital, whereas it is about the chlorine bonding orbital, which is comparing with the carbon. This size of the bonding molecular orbital of chlorine is more. It is for the chlorine, it is for the carbon. When the bond formation will take place, how many electrons present in this carbon and chlorine? Only 2 electrons. So overlapping of the orbitals of bonding molecular orbital of carbon and chlorine, they may make a bond formation. New sigma bond is formed. It contains only 2 electrons. With these 2 electrons, carbon can get its octet complete, as well as the chlorine is also get its complete octet in their valence shell. So carbon 2 as well as the chlorine 2, but not 4 electrons, only 2 electrons. So whereas to come to the, there will be a limit of electrons. There will be a limit of electrons capacity held by the both the orbitals, which are now bonding orbitals as well as the anti-bonding orbitals. According to atomic theory, Pauli's exclusive principle, An orbital contains only two electrons, whether the bonding molecular orbital as well as the anti-bonding orbital contains only two electrons. So DMO and ABMO hold together two electrons. For some reasons, if electron density increase in the anti-bonding molecular orbital, then this rule is violated. So, in such cases, I repeat again, for some reason, if electron density increase on the anti-bonding molecular orbital, then it violated the maximum electrons capacity in an orbital because it becomes 4 electrons. Okay, so further, if a strong force forcing the electrons into this anti-bonding molecular orbital, then there may be out of electron density from this bonding molecular orbital. For example, it is our BMO, which already containing of two electrons. If a strong force which are forcing electrons into this anti-bonding orbital, that means electron density increase in the anti-bonding orbital by forcing, then some electron density go out from this bonding molecular orbital. That means what are the electrons present in this bonding molecular orbital will leaves in the form of a leaving group. That's what we discussed in the leaving group. For example, if these electrons will be enter into this anti-bonding orbital of carbon, if electron density will be increased on this ABMO, then there is only one possibility: these electrons present in the bonding molecular orbital go out, because bonding molecular orbital and anti-bonding molecular orbital hold together only two electrons. So that cases. So then this bonding electron pair go out as a leaving group along with the this electron pair. Okay. So these are some useful for us to better to understand the reaction mechanism of SN1 as well as the SN2 or SNAR. That means we are replacing one nucleophile with the another nucleophile. Means there is a bond between the carbon and one nucleophile. We are introducing another nucleophile which can remove this halogen atom to participate in the chemical reaction. So whatever the bonding molecular orbitals of carbon and halogen can be involved in the bond formation. So if A strong force which is increasing the electron density on this anti-bonding molecular orbital, then one nucleophile enter into this, and this nucleophile, that is as which is acts as a leaving group, will be leaved. Then only the maximum electron capacity in an orbital, whether B O, that is bonding molecular orbital, as well as the anti-bonding molecular orbital, can be follow the Pauli's exclusive principle. Whether AB, BMO or ABMO, any orbital must be contain only two electrons. At the maximum capacity and both these orbitals only two. So to maintain that maximum electron capacity in a molecular orbital, one should have leave along with this electron pair. If at all a forcing is very strong, only then this electron pair is entered into the anti-bonding molecular orbital. So what I mentioned in third point, generally anti-bonding molecular orbital is empty unless reaction proceeds or reaction is initiated. If electron density increasing in these any of these anti-bonding molecular orbital, then the force will be applied for this bonding molecular orbital leave along with the electron pair. So these are some useful points according to molecular orbital theory to understand better for the further coming of reaction mechanism. Don't get any confused. Just we use some terms. In that case, there is one empty orbital. What is an empty orbital? Must be anti-bonding molecular orbital of any particular atom, whatever they may be, whether it may be carbon or what are the other groups. Okay. So what is this? Generally, electrons are presiding in the orbitals of s, p, d. These atomic orbitals join together to form as the molecular orbitals. These are two types, bonding and anti-bonding molecular orbitals. For every bonding molecular orbital, we have anti-bonding molecular orbital. Means corresponding. For every BMO, corresponding ABMO is present. It is what we represented. This, if it is a bonding molecular orbital, it is anti-bonding molecular orbital. Look at a question now. Both are present in same line. Why only BMO is participated? According to the Aufbau principle, electrons first enter into the lower energy orbitals. So, among of the molecular orbitals also, bonding molecular orbital is lesser energetic than the atomic orbital, and anti-bonding molecular orbitals are more energetic. So these are first involving bond formation comparing with the AB. So for every bonding molecular orbital we have AB, MO. Okay. Point number 2. Anti-bonding molecular orbital opposite to, exactly opposite to bonding molecular orbital. Third, generally bonding molecular orbitals are involved, but not the anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So third point is generally anti-bonding molecular orbitals are is empty unless any reaction is initiated. Fourth one, if a strong force forcing electron density to increase in anti-bonding molecular orbital, then some electron density go out from bonding molecular orbital because bonding molecular orbital and anti-bonding molecular orbital hold together two electrons. That is the maximum electron capacity. Both the orbitals BMO and ABMO, two electrons. So if a force is introducing electron density to increasing this antibonding molecular orbital, these bonding molecular orbitals leaves along with this electron pair, that is go out from this bonding molecular orbital to form a new bond. So a nucleophile is introduced on the carbon atom to form a product. Then what happens in the nucleophilic substitution reactions? Okay. Watch this video more number of times to understand better about this MOP, which helps us in the further reaction mechanisms. The reaction mechanism of SN1 and SN2 we will discuss in the tomorrow class. Okay? If anything is a doubt about this, you may contact me.